everybody, good morning. Here we are, Tuesday, November 19th. Yeah, talking about Ableton Move, talking about how do we finish ideas. So the other day I had a really good friend in the studio. That's when I started writing this track. And the conversation that we had was making memorable tracks and making things that you want to go back to and finish. And that always seems to be the reason nobody can get anything done, right? Because we're writing music, yes, but we're writing music that we don't feel super excited about. And then the problem becomes you never want to go back to finishing a song, okay? So I don't know how many people have that problem. That's me included. So today the talk is, how do you finish ideas, right? How do you make ideas with Ableton or with Move actually feel like a more finished idea? And how can we tackle ways of making our music more memorable? You want to finish, or and it's interesting to you. All right. So how do we get to this place where we're making this type of music, right? And one of my friends, I mean, it was awesome, very talented, plays out a lot, does really good work. But we were talking about the value of music and the value of music that you want to go back to, okay? Meaning, like, how do you do that? Now, my response to that, and I don't know if I told him this when he was with me, but I thought over it the last couple nights, and the idea was, number one, interesting drums. Like, if you don't make a drum pattern that's interesting to you, you're never going to go back to it. All right. So how do we make a pattern that's a little bit more exciting and doesn't sound so, like, I don't know what the word is, but so simple and so dry, right? Would be the idea. And if we could find a way to do that, to make a more interesting sounding piece of music that we want to go back to and actually finish, how do we achieve that? All right. So I typically use an OP field to help me out to do a lot of my sampling. And I would tell a lot of people the beginning point in making anything that's memorable or feels good or sounds good is going to be interesting drums. All right. Now, you could pick a drum kit, right? Right. And the more you follow suit with what everybody else is doing, the more your music's going to assimilate and sound the same. And throughout this, we've talked about a pattern that the kick and the snare, that's the pattern, right? You got a kick on 1, you got snares on 5 and 13. Now, no matter what your tempo is, the more you do this, the more bored you're going to get with this pattern, okay? So the idea that instead of making this pattern, a lot of people cut the grid in half, all right, because now there's more resolution. So now, number one, I would say make the grid about twice as fast as whatever you're going to do, all right, because then there's more room for notes in between, right? I do this with Electron a lot, right? And then when I duplicate my loop, the second snare is going to be somewhere completely wrong. Let's say like, yep. So there it is, it's late on the second measure, right? And that to me might become the reason this song's a little more interesting and I might want to go back to it. All right, now we're going to develop this a little bit more, but there's my beat. Okay, now, second thing, don't write a beat the same way you do. So no snares on the 5 and the 13. Like somehow either get rid of one of them or omit both of them. I cut the grid in half and I did a late snare. So the trick here was half time and then it's late snare. Okay? And then the next idea is if you want to make something you're going to come back to, you got to pick a key signature you never use. All right? So you could pick D minor and you use it every single day, you know, or D major, right? But what if you picked a scale like, I don't know, Lydian dominant? It's a little different. I don't use that scale all the time. And if I quantize it to that grid, see how that spacing here feels a little different, right? So if I started writing chords in Lydian dominant instead of minor like I always do, I'm going to get a lot different of timbre and chord sounds just by playing in key. So like, let's see, like, hear how that one's weird? Very weird. It's not the same as what we've been playing in the past couple streams. So if you somehow pick a different key signature, that may spark more interest. Melodic minor. Oh, I like that. Phrygian dominant. See how interesting that sounds now? And when I make a bass line, it sounds a lot cooler, right? So, next tip, key normally not used. Not used. So use a key you don't use all the time, right? So now when we write this bass line, let's hear it. All right, now I quantized. I like the groove better now, right? And now I got to pick more interesting chords. No, terrible. Way better. All right, so I like those, the clusters I'm going to use there. I'm going to hit record, and then we're going to do a take. Okay, so let's see what happens now. Oh, sorry. When we do that take. So I'm going to hit record. 2, 3, 4. All right. Now that I have that, I always use Rhodes. And if anybody watches the channel, you know that. So I'm going to pick a completely different sound. So now a sound I wouldn't normally use, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my lead line. Alright, we're going to do our take. This channel is a little loud, so I'm going to just lower that last rhythmic pattern I made. And now I'm going to record. This sound, whatever it is, and we can always change it later. That's the first part. I'm going to copy stuff over. Now, taking a risk. That is the key here. You know, if you want to go back to ideas, you got to take a risk. All right? And when I say that, the risk I'm going to take here is on the drum pattern. All right? So I'm going to stop all the patterns. I'm going to go back to drums. And now I know I did a cut time pattern on the first beat. So if I go here and I double it, all right, I'm going to play my hi-hats live. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, so a little bit of a weird feel there with some swing. All right, another sound. And I did like a roll into that low sound. I'm going to duplicate that. And we got another sound, but I want a bongo there, right? So now I want to play a sound that's going to offshoot the beat, that's going to make it feel like there's some cool sub rhythm. Okay, so we're going to say maybe. There we go. All right, I'm going to pick this wood sound. I'm going to lower the volume. Now, the other thing is, at the end of the bar, I'm going to do like a really crazy roll here. So I'm going to change the grid so that I can make it faster. So 30-second note, right? And I'm going to do it at the end of the bar. So here we go. See how it's like a weird mistake, right? It's cool. Right? And I want something that sounds different, and now I don't want to use that sound either, so I'm going to pick a new sound. And again, I'm going to pick some kind of wood thing. I want accidents here. I want things that I normally wouldn't do. We got E percussion. I want to hear that. Oh, yeah. Right? All right, here we go. Let's see if I can do it. I'm going to lower that sound. I'm going to pick a delay too. Check this out. So a little more messed up now. Now I'm going to make bass. Let's see. I'm going to shorten that sound that I made. It's too long. Keying in on the fourth here because that makes it sound like more distant. So it's a 1-4-3. Here we go. I'm going to do another live recording on my lead. the other key to doing this, I think this track's turned out pretty good. So it is something that I feel like I would come back to and want to work on. The key signature is super cool, which is Phrygian dominant. So today, the ideas for you to try when you're at home in your studio are going to be as follows, right? You want to finish your ideas, so you got to make a song that's more memorable, all right? And how do we do that? Well, we do a couple things. When you make it more memorable, you'll want to finish a track, okay? So, all right? So, interesting drums. Get off of the grid a little bit. Live play things. Maybe don't always use the 5 and the 13. Use like a late note. This drum beat, perfect example. Late notes. And there's a weird like sub-rhythm. See how that was late? Okay, so interesting drums was the first concept, right? The next thing is use a key signature that you don't normally use. We use Phrygian dominant, so when you're at home inside a move or push or whatever sequencer you're using, try to pick keys that you normally don't play in, okay? So thanks, James. I really appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much. And you know, take risks. The idea that you're going to take a risk. You're going to try something that you normally don't try. In this example, I picked instruments that I don't normally use. These fun, creepy rhythmic patterns that you might not have chose in the first place because you're working out ideas, right? So I would say that's another a win for you. And then automation. The last thing when I take a risk, when I take a huge risk, automation, all right? So automation is the thing that I'm going to tell everybody becomes the human element of what you do. If you don't automate some knobs and make some things shift and move and try an LFO or try to make a sound, you saw me heavy tweaking that knob when I was doing this pattern, right? Look at it. It's freaking out, you know? So this idea that so this is a pretty creepy track, right? And it all happened because I have off-time rhythms. I picked a key signature that I normally wouldn't pick, and that bass is evil. Oh, it's so evil, right? And then I picked a lead that had rhythm in it. It's got a lot of attack. It takes time for the sound to come in, right? So that's not a sound that's typically easy to play, and you got to feel where it kind of comes in, right? You know, I'm going to say I'm thoroughly impressed for $440 what I can get out of Move, all right? OP1 Field has some of the best synth engines in the world. It is top-notch pricing too, and I think this synth really goes the distance. But I'll tell everybody right now, I've been sampling my field into my Move because then I don't have to think in this realm. I think in the step realm, and I love the lights. I love the way these lights, when I'm in a key or when I go out of key, because now look, we can do all the chromatic notes. So this is another place where you're going to take risks. If you pick a key and then you play between in key and chromatic, you can throw accidentals in there too, all right? Now this comes down to taking risks. Now my friend who was in the studio the other day with me, I mean, I love his music and I love what he does live. And the idea that he kept telling me that he can't come back to music. He can't write songs that he feels like he can come back to. So what I'm going to challenge everybody today and this week to start doing is work on 1 or 2 really good, solid pieces. And if you start working on something and it's not really good, you better throw it out and start over. Because I think the other thing that I get distracted is I write too many pieces at one time. So I would say if you can focus and maybe try to work on 2 or 3 quality ones instead of like, I'm going to keep working on a bunch of stuff, that may help you as well, okay? And I want everybody to focus on these couple behaviors. Let's try to make it more memorable. Let's try to make it more interesting to you. Let's try to make the drums totally different than you've normally programmed. let's use a key that you don't normally use, and let's automate things and take risks, okay? So I hope everybody got some really great information off this stream. I really wanted to dive into how to finish ideas, and now I'm going to show everybody my last couple moves on Move, no pun intended, in this educational stream about how I can keep the flow kind of going. So when I'm here working, I basically make breakdowns. So here's a break, and then I'm going to copy this one, because this break, now when I get to this spot, I don't have anything programmed, and I'm going to go back to my drums, and I hurry up and I get my halftime feel in, and I duplicate it, and in that second loop, I get rid of the velocity on those. Okay, I'm getting crazy with these hi-hats now. You guys hear this? So now I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to do some live dub over that, but let me get the bass sound that I want. And now I always started on 1. Now I'm going to do... So let's see what happens. Ready? Go. Quantize, yes. All right, so here we go. I'm going to do some ARP like playing. Here we go, and it's that. Those are the ARPs I'm going to switch between. So let's see what happens. Quantize. I messed up a little bit. I'm going to leave it. All right, now I'm just taking risks now. I'm just playing into how I show you guys how I do it. Sometimes I get really motivated and I start banging on different drum parts. I'm gonna do it again, new drum parts. Big time there, but we're gonna switch it. I'm trying to fix it. Let's see, where's that snare? fixing my dirty work. Like I said, all right, I'm gonna stop. I got crazy there, right? My God. I mean, so now I think everybody's seeing, taking risks, trying things you normally don't try, going with the flow, you know, just keep going, don't stop, you know, and play live. When the other thing, you know, the last thing I'm going to say, and me and my buddy talked about this too when he was in the studio with me, and he said he loves this part about what he does. Play live. Hit record, play those pads with your hands physically. Don't always try to draw on grid, because then what happens is you get these not perfect, but you know what? It's messed up though, like watch. And you just go fix it. Oh, yeah. I mean, it sounds so messed up, right? All right, I'm going to stop the stream for the day, but I hope everyone has a great day making music. I hope this inspires you to try something brand new and just go out on a limb and do things that you normally wouldn't do. If you need me, send me an email, chat me up in the Discord, find me somewhere online because I'm everywhere. If you need more help with music theory or ideas, always hit me up. And hopefully this was some inspirational ideas onto finishing tracks, finishing ideas, Ableton Move and its power and how good it works. And everyone's seeing me use the step grid and playing live. You know, that's what we did today. So go out there and have fun, be creative and make music, and enjoy the day.